welcome to the Thedailycourierng news, and this is our headlines. U.S. Vice President JD Vance makes strategic visits to India. Our top story focuses on U.S. Vice President JD Vance, who touched down in New Delhi this morning with his family, his wife Usha, who is of Indian origin, and their 3 children. These approval visits carry substantial diplomatic weight, coming remarkably early in Donald Trump's second administration. By choosing India as its first Asian destination, Vance signals Washington's strategic prioritization of New Delhi amid growing tensions with China. The Vice President's Day began with a ceremonial welcome, followed by a visit to the magnificent Akasham Temple, where the family with the children dressed in traditional Indian attire explored India's cultural heritage. Later, they toured a cottage industry emporium, showcasing India's artisanal craft before the day culminated in substantial bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Vance's packed 3-day itinerary will take him to Jaipur tomorrow for a major policy speech, followed by the obligatory Taj Mahal visit in Agra. Behind the ceremonial aspect lies serious diplomatic business. India is actively seeking exemption from Trump's proposed tariffs, with trade negotiations underway for an October agreement. While Vance doesn't directly handle trade policy, his presence underscores a broader diplomatic engagement that includes recent visits by U.S. intelligence chief Tulsi Gabbard and an anticipated Pentagon delegation. The message is clear. Despite trade tensions, the Trump administration views India as a critical counterbalance to China in the Indo-Pacific, a strategic partnership that both nations seem eager to strengthen. Vatican City, the Catholic world mourns as Pope Francis, the church's first Latin American pontiff, has died at age 88. His passing comes shortly after battling double pneumonia, which he was recently hospitalized. In his final days, the Pope maintained a remarkable public presence, visiting a Rome prison on Thursday, appearing at St. Peter's Basilica on Saturday, and greeting crowds from his balcony on Easter Sunday. He even exchanged Easter greetings with U.S. Vice President JD Vance before his condition deteriorated. Breaking centuries of tradition, Pope Francis jubilated to rest outside the Vatican at the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, the first pontiff in 100 years to be buried elsewhere. This final choice reflects his papacy's hallmark of challenging conventions while honoring deeper traditions. Jose Mario Bergoglio, who became Pope Francis in 2013, leaves behind a transformative legacy. From humble beginnings in Argentina to the highest office in Catholicism, he championed church financial reform, elevated women to leadership positions, advocated passionately for climate action, built unprecedented bridges with the Muslim world, and consistently called for peace in global conflict zones. His papacy wasn't without challenges. He struggled to fully address the church sexual abuse crisis and witnessed declining attendance in many regions, even as Catholicism flourished in Africa and Asia. The selection of his successor now falls to the College of Cardinals, who will gather in the Sistine Chapel of a secretive conclave. Leading candidates include cardinals from Ghana, the Philippines, and the Congo, with the possibility of the first ever African or Asian pope. Will the next pontiff continue Francis' reformist path or chart a different course of the world's 1.13 billion Catholics? Trump escalates global trade with cheating list. President Donald Trump has intensified his trade war rhetoric by releasing what he calls a cheating list, a compilation of 8 non-tariff barriers he accuses trading partners of employing against American goods. These tactics include currency manipulation, value-added taxes, dumping of cheap goods, industrial subsidies, protective agricultural and technical standards, intellectual property theft, and transshipping practices that Trump claims unfairly disadvantage American products. These developments substantially complicate ongoing trade negotiations as many countries consider these measures essential protections for their domestic industries. For instance, agricultural subsidies support nearly half of India's workforce, compared to less than 2% in the United States, making them politically untouchable for most governments. Trump's stance appears twofold, pressuring countries not only to reduce tariffs, but also to decrease their economic engagement in China. Reports suggest he may offer tariff exemptions to nations willing to reduce China's threat, effectively forcing countries to choose between the world's largest producer and its largest consumer. Beijing has shifted from talking about Asian unity to directly warning Indonesia against making deals with the US, showing a more aggressive approach. Southeast Asian nations find themselves in a particularly difficult position while they've been gradually diversifying away from Chinese dependence, with the US recently becoming Asia's top exporter of destination. Trump's aggressive approach threatens this delicate balancing act. Whatever choice these nations make, economic pain seems inevitable. Also, on a final story, U.S. State Department faces radical restructuring. Our final story examines a leaked draft policy that suggests the U.S. State Department may undergo its most significant transformation in decades under the Trump administration. The proposal outlines sweeping changes, eliminating most diplomatic operations in Africa by closing numerous embassies and consulates, sheltering Washington offices focused on human rights, democracy, and climate change, implementing mass terminations of career diplomats, replacing the traditional foreign service exams with a new hiring system aligned with Trump's vision, and reorganizing the departments into just 4 diplomatic corps: Eurasia, the Middle East, Latin America, and the Indo-Pacific, notably excluding Africa entirely. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has dismissed this report as fake news, while other forces suggest even more dramatic possibilities, including slashing the department's budget by 50% or closing 10 embassies worldwide. While some provisions might appeal to countries weary of unsolicited American democracy promotion, other aspects could severely undermine U.S. global influence. Particularly concerning is the potential withdrawal from Africa, a continent with the world's youngest population and trillions in natural resources, where China, Russia, India, and European nations are rapidly expanding their presence. This approach mirrors Trump's first time, during which he never visited Africa and dramatically reduced foreign aid. The consequences could either push African nations towards greater self-reliance or drive them further into China's expanding sphere of influence. That concludes our coverage for today. As always, the Daily Courier News remains committed to bringing you thoughtful analysis of world events that shape our collective future. And thank you for joining us today. Until next time, may wisdom guide your understanding of our complex world. Please like and subscribe to this channel.